Alright, so picking up from where I left off last time, I'm here at New Londo Ruins, and I want to make my way down to the lower section of this area. There's only really two things that I want from here, which is the very large amber and a dark hand drop from the Darkwraiths. But seeing as I'm already here, I might as well collect all of the other items in the area as well. In the lower area of New Londo Ruins, you'll find the Darkwraith enemies. Now, depending on how good you are at parrying, it can be an excellent place to farm souls early on in the game. Each Darkwraith you kill gives you 1200 souls, which can be increased in a few different ways. One of which is the Symbol of Avarice, which increases the souls earned from enemies by 20%. Another is the Covetous Silver Serpent Ring, which also increases souls earned from fallen enemies by 20%. And a way to increase that soul bonus further is by dealing damage equivalent to 150% of an enemy's total health with a single hit. Now, I can't remember who it was that said this, but I remember watching a YouTube video some months ago, and one of the things they mentioned was if you perform a riposte against any enemy, you would get a soul bonus for doing so. Now, while it is possible to gain an additional 20% souls from enemies without the Symbol of Avarice or Covetous Silver Serpent Ring, it isn't achieved solely by performing a riposte on enemies. What you need to do is deal 150% minimum damage of an enemy's total HP. So if they have 200 health, you need to deal 300 damage. If they have 400 health, you need to deal 600 damage, and so on. Now, going back to what I said about farming Darkwraiths early on in the game, stacking the Symbol of Avarice, Covetous Silver Serpent Ring, and dealing 150% damage of their total HP will result in 2073 souls from each Darkwraith as opposed to 1200. So do the math on that. 2073 souls by 11 Darkwraiths, and you're looking somewhere around 22,800 souls, roughly. You'll have noticed just a moment ago that I killed Ingrid and obtained the key to the seal. This allows me to access the lower section of New Londo Ruins to farm Darkwraiths. And although it can be risky when you've only just started a new character, it is possible to do at pretty much any point in the game. The only time I wouldn't recommend killing Ingrid straight off the bat is if you want the Wisdom of a Sage trophy, which is achieved by obtaining all the sorceries in the main game. Ingrid souls resist Curse, which costs 5,000 souls, so if you're working towards getting Wisdom of a Sage, make sure you buy Resist Curse from Ingrid first. After that, feel free to kill him however you please. In case you're wondering what I'm doing here, even though I obtained the key to the seal, I'm just collecting all of the items that are still available in this area, which includes 2 rings, the Cursebite ring and the Rare Ring of Sacrifice. After I've obtained both of these and the remaining items in this section, then I'll move on to the Darkwraiths. So there's the Curse Bite ring. And coming up here is the Rare Ring of Sacrifice. With all of that out of the way, I can move on to the lower section of New Londo Ruins now. Okay, normally I don't miss that jump. I just wasn't far enough over to make it this time. Now I can move on to farming the Darkwraiths for a Dark End. With any luck I'll get the drop on this first run through. A slab would be nice as well, but it's not nearly as important as a Dark End at this point. I'm fully aware that I could have gone to Sen's Fortress to get the covetous gold serpent ring, or a symbol of avarice from the mimic in Sen's before coming here. But because I'm trying to make this playthrough as thorough as possible, I'll just have to do without it for the time being. If I get a Dark End drop in this run, that's great. If not, then I'll just have to stop recording and keep farming until I have gotten one. Because I honestly doubt any of you really want to watch me going through this farming run over and over again. Alright, I'll be coming up to the very large ember soon. Well, once I've dealt with the enemies in this section anyway. Which I'll be using either before or after I've cleared Sen's Fortress. At the moment I'm not too sure if I should fully upgrade my halberd, or if I should fully upgrade the scythe found in Sen's instead. I think the halberd is a great weapon, don't get me wrong, but I think it's better suited for PvP than it is PvE, so I'm leaning towards fully upgrading the scythe first. Now that I think about it, it probably would work out better if I chose to fully upgrade the scythe first anyway, as that will allow me to focus on leveling dexterity without having to worry too much about strength for a while. Speaking of which, I worked out which level I'll be taking my strength stat to on this character. Well, I say worked out, I actually just narrowed it down to one of two choices. The first choice would be to go to 32 strength, which would mean that when this build is finished, it'll be sitting at soul level 120. The second choice is 36 strength, which will leave this build at soul level 124, in which case I'd just put the extra level into vitality. I'll figure out what I want to do when it comes to it though. I was considering taking strength up to 34 at one point, so I could two-hand the dragon weapons, which would leave me at soul level 122. Then I could put an extra 3 levels into attunement for another spell slot, but I ended up deciding against that. While this is going to be a quality pyromancer build, I don't want pyromancies to be my main method of attack, so they'll be taking more of a support role throughout this playthrough. But that's not to say that I won't be using them when I start taking this character into PvP. A couple of things I wanted to address quickly are some questions that I've been asked in regards to my opinions on certain topics, and if I'll ever be recording videos addressing said topics. These are the Mega Mule save file, and strategies and tips for PvP. To be able to offer an in-depth evaluation of my personal opinion on the Mega Mule, I'd need more than just a few minutes segment of a video to be able to cover this topic. There are so many things that need to be taken into consideration when trying to assess whether the Mega Mule is a good thing or a bad thing. I know there are some people who are really happy with the Mega Mule, and I know there are some people who are really unimpressed with the Mega Mule. As for my own thoughts on it though, I'll save those for another video, because here is not the place, and now is not the time, or rather it's time I don't have to fit it all into this video. As for tactics in PvP, well, that's an even larger topic to cover than the Mega Mule, so I'm definitely not going to be getting into that in this playthrough. Seeing as there are already quite a lot of Dark Souls videos containing tactics for PvP on YouTube already, I think it would probably be best if I just did more of a brief summary of some of the tactics I employ in PvP, as opposed to covering things that have already been covered. I could be wrong on that though. Maybe some of you would like to hear about how I personally handle things in PvP. Let me know what you think in the comments section anyway. Okay, so I'm getting close to the end of this Darkwraith farming run. I've only got one chance left to get a Dark End, and if I don't get it, I'm going to have to stop recording and farm for one off camera. And I didn't get one. So I'll go and get the red tier stone ring now. I'll homeward bound back to Firelink from there, and then I'll see how long it takes me to get a Dark End. Alright, so I'm just gonna consume the soul shards that I've collected so far, get a couple of things ready, and I will continue farming for a Dark End. With any luck, I'll get it in the first or second run, but there are no guarantees, I suppose. Alright, so I finally got a dark end drop, and it took me a total of, I think it was 13 runs, which was 13 more than I wanted, but at least I got plenty of souls out of it. Now to put my newly acquired dark end to use, and Griggs is up first for a humanity draining, but before I do that, I need to buy a couple of rings from him.
All right. May we meet again?
Now to start draining his humanity.
Heavens. In the name of sanity.
With Griggs out of the way, I need to pay Laurentius a visit now. Before I drain his humanity though, I want to upgrade my Pyromancy Flame and purchase Iron Flesh and Flash Sweat.
Goodbye then. What's wrong with you? Stop that, please!
Just a few more NPCs to drain humanity from, and I'll be done here in Firelink. Time to get started on Rhea, Petrus, Vince, and Nico.
Oh, I will. So, it was. Come again. The... Oh.
Just a heads up here, this could take a little while.
Gods. What the?
Don't act like you don't like it, Raya.
No.
Almost finished now. Draining the humanity, that is. Alright, now that I'm done here, I can finally move on to the Undead Asylum. That was close. Thankfully I didn't fall there. Now all I have to do is wait here for about 20 seconds and I'll be back at the Undead Asylum. There are a few things here that I want to obtain, but the main item that interests me here is the Titanite Slab that the Stray Demon drops. Not too long now, and I'll finally have it. Before I fight the Stray Demon, I think I'll go and ruin a Black Knight's day.